Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Frankly Speaking on Fridays podcast. I am your host, Frank Pador. It is October 7th, 2022, currently 6:28 p.m. Eastern Time. This is episode 46 of the FSoS Podcast. Hello, welcome. Glad to have you. Glad to hear you, kind of. But you can at least hear me. I apologize for the weeks not doing so, which I already said I'm not going to apologize, so I apologize for apologizing again. Apologies. So, with that said, I have a good podcast lined up for today. All because of my special guest who has been on here many times before, through her knowledge of comic books, of her education as a musician, and just because she is your budget bartender. Please welcome my guest, Queen ShelBeast, also known as Shelby. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Yeah, it's my third time.
There's a cat in the litter.
Yes.
And they're scratching. So, yes, welcome. So, as always, I gotta hype up the listeners for their week to come. So let's get to the hyping. So, dear listeners, I know it has been about 3 weeks or so since we last conversed, or at least last time you heard me rant into a microphone just because I'm lonely and there's no other form of human connection within my life. But, but how have you been? How have these weeks been treating you? Has it been good? Has it been bad? Why? How? What strengths and what accomplishments have you done? And where have you fallen short? Was it your fault? If it was, what happened? Reflect, digest, learn. If it wasn't, what the fuck? What the fuck? And it's okay to be mad. It's okay to be upset. And at times, it's also okay to blame because circumstances kind of suck at times. But what counts and is something that I have said repeatedly is that falling down is fine, staying down is okay, but don't stay down forever. Get up, try again, and just always strive for the betterment of yourself. These past few weeks have certainly been challenges for us, both good, both bad. Circumstances not going our way, sometimes our fault, sometimes not. How do you pep yourself up?
By doing things that I like.
Yeah. And by doing things that she likes, just kind of, I don't know, I guess helps you digest, just move past, or...
I mean, just reminds me of the things that I like, obviously, but it just makes me feel happy. And, yeah, maybe potentially helps me digest things, but... just by reminding myself that, I like to do mixology, I like to play video games, I like to read, watch movies, all these things, just...
Get back into it.
It just lets me get in touch with myself.
Yeah.
Because I feel like going through all those hardships, you lose yourself sometimes a little bit.
I agree. So... whatever may have happened to you these past few weeks, listeners, just know it's not the end. You can come back from it. And remember that if you want to bitch to the asshole with the microphone in the room talking to himself, you can do so. Contact the podcast at FSOFpodcast@gmail.com. Tell me what's happening with you, good and bad. Send me topics of interest, articles that you think I might like. Or, just say hello. FSOFpodcast@gmail.com. So before we get into our updates, we have something else in which to celebrate. Not only having my guests. Yeah, just weekly update.
Oh, I thought that was it.
No, that was hyping them up. We gotta inform of what has transpired with us.
I'm not sure that I'm ready to tell the world.
That's fine. You don't have to tell them anything if you don't want to.
I'll give a gist.
So, not only... are we having our little drink to you and also commemorate the 46th episode of the podcast, I forgot to announce many weeks ago that the FSoF podcast has now been around for over a year. The first episode came out September 10th of 2021. So I am super late by a month. But hey, happy 1 year anniversary to the podcast.
Yay!
Prost. Oh, Jesus. So, what we just drank from is
It was the stomach acid of a monster.
So, as some of you may or may not know, my favorite whiskey is Templeton Rye. And this one we found just out of nowhere. It is the Straight Rye Whiskey Barrel Strength 2022 edition. And it comes out at a very odd 57.3% alcohol or 114.6 proof, which is oddly specific. So, real quick, because our discussion is going to probably take a while. My update is just very simple. We've been trying to get back into streaming again, which is good, fun, great, fine and dandy. Been enjoying it. Work has been going better. Still getting people surprised that, to the fact that there's another man in the office answering phones and talking to people. That happens on a daily basis. But I've also now worked for the new place for a month. So, yay. Otherwise, that's really all that I got. It's just kind of been SSDD and just trying to just go forth on the path of recovery, just like, financially and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and no, nothing you want to share?
Yeah, I'll just basically share. I mean, I don't know what you said on your last podcast, but obviously my grandmother passed away a little over a month ago. It's been trying times. Obviously explained probably some of the job loss a bit. And basically, let's just say I had the rug ripped out from under me. Things were starting to look good, and then I had the rug ripped out from under me earlier this week. And now just trying to pick back up the pieces that broke and try to move forward with life and see what we can do.
Yeah.
So
recover just mentally and emotionally.
Yeah. So
spiritually. Not so much physically.
I feel a little bit.
Oh, by the way, are you feeling any better?
I'm okay.
You mentioned yesterday not feeling too great.
I'm okay.
All right. So, as the title suggests, talk Miyazaki to me. What we're going to be talking about is literally that. Miyazaki's sex life. Where does it begin? Where is it now? And is his wife satisfied? Most importantly. No, what we're going to talk about is all 7 games that Miyazaki has come out with. And we're going to discuss various topics concerning all of them, including lore, builds, favorites, dislikes, endings, what may or may not be canon based on what we think.
And potentially what we believe from the internet, which, I'll take with a grain of salt.
Indeed. So in a rare circumstance, I'm actually going to have my guests take point and lead the discussion in the podcast. And I will be here leaving colorful commentary.
Yeah, whatever.
So, where would you like to begin?
So obviously we all know that Miyazaki created the 7 games: Demon Souls, the Dark Souls trilogy, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and then now the infamous Elden Ring. 7 games.
7 games.
So basically what I'd like to try to start off to just give a good basis for the audience. For any of those of you who have not played any of the games, they're actually really neat. This is coming from a person who never really played video games ever before in her life. Except for, Super Mario when she was, little. And when I say she, that's me. So, these games are actually really interesting. They're kind of crazy at times, but I thought we could discuss lore first, just to give us a good basis of what each of the games kind of entail, what they're about. Not necessarily really giving away anything. I mean, there's going to be a little bit, but it's not going to be oh, yeah, this boss, whatever. I mean, we might talk a little bit about that, but I mean, so there might be some spoilers if you haven't, but honestly, at this point, the internet is so available to you that you can look it up yourself.
Well, also, all these games, except for Elden Ring, have been out for years.
Yeah.
So if you haven't played it or looked up the lore, basically, your time has expired for you to actually be hurt by spoiler
Yeah, it's
alerts.
literally been 11 years. 11 years?
11 since Demon's Souls?
No, it's been now, 13 years.
There you go. So
Since the very first Miyazaki game came out, which was in 2009.
So literally no excuses.
Yeah, basically.
If you're afraid of that, turn off the podcast now. But if you don't care and this might actually intrigue you who have never played it before, listen. It might be super neat.
It might actually get you into the game.
Yeah.
Just know that they can be frustrating.
It took her a while to actually pick up the controls to a Dark Souls game.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So the lore. Which one do you
the
want
lore,
to begin?
I'm just going to go in chronological order. Sorry, that's the Templeton.
The Templeton.
Excuse me. I'm going to go in order of, the games when they were released, because I think that's probably best for the basis of how things kind of go.
Sure. Well, you're going to have to educate me then, because I know very little of Demon's Souls lore.
That's why I wrote down a decent-sized paragraph.
Awesome.
So, basically, Demon's Souls lore, from what I can understand, and mind you, Demon's Souls was a game that Miyazaki was handed, and basically said, this seems like trash, fix it.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be released.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay. So he took it and somehow ended up making a decent game out of it.
Yeah.
Its probably initial reception wasn't too popular, but it was probably more popular than what they were actually prepared for.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, From Software was basically like, okay, this game is contractually obligated to be released, but it's going nowhere and we have no idea what the fuck to do with it. Take it, do it, and do whatever you want with it. So he literally had pre-made renderings of characters and this and that, and was given full reign to just manipulate or do whatever.
Yeah. So basically, from what I can understand and from like the brief experiences that from you playing it, that in a short sense, like obviously this world is not like a human world, because there's pyromancy and there's magic and all that stuff. So a group of people called Monumentals, they wanted to save the land from harm of demons, because like demons came in and tried to just fuck shit up essentially.
Okay.
And so they started to save it, and they created the soul arts, which is
magic.
Not magic. The soul arts is like us healing and using it to upgrade and stuff like that. It's the soul arts.
Okay.
And they also created the archstones, that are the things that actually connect the worlds, and with a hub like in a certain place, which I assume is called the Nexus, because that's what it's called in the game. So I'm assuming that's what they're trying to refer to. And that each archstone connects to each world, and that you have the ability to travel to them. However, as all things do when people are trying to make good, shit hits the fan.
There's evil.
A fog of chaos and calamity is at least what Fextra Life, if you want to know. Most of the things I got from are all Fextra Life. If you want to just look it up, just literally search game lore Fextra Life, whatever.
Plus, I will also be compiling all the links that we reference, and they will be listed below. Yeah. As always.
Yeah. So Fog of Chaos and Calamity covered lands, and it basically made everybody who was still alive after, the fight with the demons and all that other stuff, anybody who was still alive just went insane, essentially. And then that's where you come in. You're in there after the fog is hit, and now you are supposed to kill the king, who is basically trying to keep the fog there, and pacify the old one who actually lives beneath the Nexus, because the old one also helps, keep the fog away.
Okay.
And basically you're supposed to do all this to, I can only assume, is to bring back prosperity.
I suppose so.
So
clear out the Stephen King fog.
Yeah, basically, whatever, the mist. But yeah, there's so many things, like the Fextra Life website goes into a lot more detail about it, like of each place. But yeah, it's there's a lot, and then it just kind of goes into it. So it's like I could sit here and read this whole page to you, but you guys will give you the links to read it. But that's basically the gist of it.
So, chaos mist coming about, demons running amok, you come in or to restore balance.
Basically. Kind of sounds like other games, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
But what are these other games?
So then the Dark Souls trilogy, basically, and I lump them all together because they're all basically, in a roundabout way, the same thing.
Yeah.
You go through, basically, shit happened, war happened, people fought, dragons fought, whatever, all these things, world serpents fought and shit like that. Say, now you must save the flame or let it die.
Yep.
And you basically get dropped into the world and basically said, you need to do this, or if you don't, we all die. From a roundabout way.
Yeah.
And one thing that I liked from the Fix Your Life website, and I thought it was cool, that it says souls equal life, life equals fire, souls equal fire. So if you put your soul in the fire, it rekindles everything. So that's basically what you're doing, is you're rekindling the fire, bringing it back, and, keeping things slightly homeostasis. But however, it's kind of chaos.
Yeah.
Based on everything, because there's only 2 different endings, and you can guess it's either one is the fire or dark.
Yep.
You do or you don't.
Yep.
So yeah, that's literally. I mean, I realize that's 3 games, but I literally just summed them up. That's basically what it is.
Essentially.
You can watch the game or play the game and experience it for yourself, or you can just read the Fix Your Life thing. It's pretty neato. Bloodborne. Basically a sickness, like it all started in Yarnum. A sickness came through with blood and involving like a poison or whatever. And that's when they all got into like the blood ministration type stuff and like controlling blood.
It all started from a bunch of nerds.
Ish. At least from what I was reading, it didn't seem like it was nerds, but it was just like, yeah. But it just basically controlling blood. Whatever, one leader was like, yeah, this, and another leader was like, yeah, this, and it won't be so bad. Well, we all followed the one leader who ended up making it bad, and that's how the blood got tainted, essentially, and that's why people were turning into beasts. Like, actual human beings were turning into beasts. So it's like all the wolves like that you see that are like going like nuts in the beginning and stuff like that. That's actually a fully turned human.
Yes.
And so, I mean, that's why they say like some of like the higher ups, like potential, what was it? Amelia and whatnot, like her and what was like, I think he's in the DLC.
Well, Lawrence?
Yeah, Lawrence. Like, they're all bigger, like, versions of a beast because they're, like, higher up in the church or whatever. So they all kind of got, like, they just became bigger versions of, like, a beast, of a dog, wolf thing.
Yeah.
So.
I have a fun article from Game Rant, which goes into a little more detail of how it all originated. But, yeah, it all began just because of research in Bergenworth.
Yeah, research in Bergenworth, and I mean, even the Mensis, like, school academy, like, even the weird thing is like, what I was reading is that the Mensis Academy in Bergenworth were, like, agreeing about everything, but I guess, Mikola, she was the leader of the Mensis Academy, was greedy, I guess, or at least wanted to take it to control, like, the Great Ones. So the Great Ones are the one that were, like, in the sky and rule things and all that shit. And after you take out Rom, you get to see them.
Yeah, the Cthulhu-ass dudes.
Yeah. And yes, this game is kind of loosely based on a little bit of Lovecraft, because Miyazaki loves H.P. Lovecraft.
I mean, why would you not?
Yeah.
So good.
But yeah, so that's basically it. Yeah, it's just so we can, they wanted to be able to continue, like, blood control or whatever to save themselves so that they could continue following the Great Ones and whatnot, but ended up kind of fucking themselves over.
They all did, essentially.
Yeah.
And all their paths were incorrect, and all their research and their wanting to know more should not have happened.
I mean, it wasn't, like, incorrect. They got what they wanted, but then they lost themselves in the process. That's basically what I understood from it.
And also just destroy that entire region.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The next one, Frank knows a little bit more than I do. Sekiro. Basically, from what I gathered, it is loosely based on the Sengoku era in Japan, like late era Sengoku era. And it was just like a never-ending battle between warlords and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Sekiro is essentially a ninja that was entitled to, espionage, sabotage, all that stuff, murder, and all that. That's basically what I got from it. It was like based on that.
I mean,
at least from the lore, but like once you start talking about because like you were saying that the lore more comes from the endings.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe we'll talk about that with the endings then.
Sure.
But that's basically it's what the game is based off of, from what I understood.
Yeah, that's what it's based off of, is just there literally being no government of the country, just warlords and how much land and how many men they control.
Yeah. The endings kind of bring into light a little bit, I mean, it's loosely based off of that, but I mean, they took that because they were like, it's, from a long time ago, so it's easier to kind of manipulate into a video game, essentially.
Oh, without a doubt. And Japanese culture is just full of mythology and lore anyway, so why not just combine real life events with hypothetical situations?
Yeah. So I guess when we get to like the endings and stuff like that, because he knows more about the endings than I do, I just know which ones are the good, bad, average, and true.
Yeah. I think you've probably held a controller for Sekiro for about like 7 minutes total.
Something like that. I don't know. So the next one, Elden Ring. This is the one that I know a lot about because I've played the game 3 times now.
Yeah.
So basically the lore of the game is Godwin died. He's big dude, big head honcho dude. He died. And let me see here. Yeah, Godwin died, and kind of him dying kind of just spurred the whole thing, I guess. Just whatever. Godwin should be the son of America and Godfrey. But whatever. He had a ring, and shortly after he died, the ring just shattered. Like either somebody broke it, we don't know who. There are hints amongst it, but we're not quite sure. I mean, this game has not been out long enough for anybody to like totally, completely come up with the real story here, and that's the reason why, we hope there's a DLC, because it might explain some things.
Indeed.
But yeah, his ring was shattered, his Elden Ring, haha. And basically, world order was broken, and just shit hit the fan, war broke out.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And when war broke out, it broke everything up into, like, fragments of the world and stuff like that. Like, factions began to, like, form amongst all the worlds.
Okay.
Melania and Radon actually battled, and it was, like, a huge battle and everything, but it always ended in a stalemate whenever they did fight.
Interesting.
Because they're both strength and agility and skill and everything just canceled each other out. But they're saying, like, from that their strength nor skill would be enough to control the lands America had united, because Queen America is the one that had united all these lands, and then when her son Godfrey passed away and his ring broke, it fucked everything up.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then basically you, the player, are the one that has to go back through and attempt to reunite the lands that have been fighting.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, sorry, keeping my cards in order here. With that being said, like, I've got, like, a family tree here of everybody. So basically, Queen America is, I'm assuming, she's just the high up. She's the queen bee. She's literally a queen. Her first husband, consort is what they call her, is Godfrey / Horlu. He's actually 2 different bosses in the game.
Right.
And they had 3 children together, Godwin, and I believe that's the one, the golden, probably the first child, so they probably handed everything down to him. And then they had twins, Morgott and Moog.
Oh,
Yeah. And then Queen America ditched Godfrey, left him to be like, yeah, you do this. I don't care about you anymore, all this stuff. And then started having relations with Radagon. And then they had children, but I'll get to that eventually. Radagon, I don't know. It feels like Radagon cheated on America, but there's been like speculation that America and Radagon are the same person.
Okay.
So when they united Mary or whatever, that they became one. Because potentially they were more meant for each other than anybody else. Who knows?
Okay.
But Radagon cheated, I don't know, on America.
Maybe.
And was with Renala, the Queen of the Full Moon.
Okay.
And they had 3, potentially 4 children. They had General Radon, Praetor Rykar, Lunar Princess Rani, and Rena. I don't know, like, Rena's not really talked about too much, but I find it weird, because Rani says that Rena is her leader, but why would her sister be her leader, and we never see her sister? So I suppose, like, is Rena short for Renala?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. These are all, like, speculations. But yes. So back when Queen America and Radagon were conjoined or whatever the fuck, they married, whatever, they had children, Mikola, Melania, and potentially everyone is believing Melina. Melina is the one that carries you through the game, gives you Torrent. She's the one that, you know, spoiler alert, lights the fire. And the fire giant, big pot, and sends you to crumbling Azula. So we believe that all of those are her children. Mikola and Melania are twins. And believing so, and it seems weird, but Mikola and Melania may have had 6 children.
Wow.
Millicent being one of them. If you run into the game and you do everything, Millicent is actually the woman that is in the Church of the Plague, sitting there going, I'm so sick, whatever.
Right,
and then
right.
Gowry, the sorcerer dude or whatever, tells you to go get a needle, and she pricks the needle on herself, and it cures her, and she's able to deal with the rot. So why does she have rot, and why is she now able to deal with it? Oh wait, her mother is the rot goddess.
Yeah. Straight up.
So, and then there's 5 other sisters that are hinted at, but we don't know who they are. They're not mentioned ever. So there's that. And then obviously Melina, kind of like we're assuming, because Melina only ever mentions, like, I was given a job by my mother.
Okay.
Which would be Marika.
Yeah.
But she never mentions dad at all. So potentially that might not be a child of both Marika and Radagon, and maybe just Marika, you know, cut a portion. I mean, these are all gods and goddesses, so they're all able to do things. And maybe she cut a portion of her finger off and turned it into Melina. I don't know.
It's possible.
So yeah, that's basically the family tree. Yeah, Melania and Radon hate each other. You know, half siblings or whatever, half sister, half brother, they hate each other. Which is the whole fight portion.
Interesting.
So it's like, it's a whole family tree.
Gotta enjoy those.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of some of the lore, kind of to help you understand who is who and what and everything. Also, there was like hints that Morgott and Margit are the same person, or that potentially Margit is a child of Morgott, whoever the fuck Morgott slept with to get Margit, but...
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Gotta love those Greek-like family trees.
Yeah. It was like, drawing it earlier, I was like, what the fuck is this? But, okay, and kind of following with lore here, we have the endings. So, like he said, Sekiro kind of has... Their lore more ties into the endings.
Yeah.
With everything. So, with each game... Pretty much all games have endings. Obviously. Demon's Souls has 2 endings. They have good and a bad, and it's basically going to remove the fog or keep it.
Yep.
And I'm not going to give away anything because I did read some of it and how you're supposed to do it, and we're going to have to figure out whenever we play that because now I know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's basically remove the fog or keep it. That's it.
But wait, there's a similar pattern.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It basically is. It's like talk to one person, or if you don't, then you get this one ending. It's literally that that finite of a detail. I kind of like it, but
Okay.
whatever. And then Dark Souls 1. It's light the flame or don't.
Yep.
Age of Fire, Age of Dark. That's your 2 ending choices. That's what you have.
Yep. Either let the abyss consume, or you reignite the first flame for another 1,000 years.
You personally, your body
Yep.
reignites it.
Yep.
So, in case you were wondering. Dark Souls 2, another 2 endings. Basically, take the throne or find a path beyond the light and dark.
Yep.
And in both endings, we don't know if we kept the flame going or not. We have no idea. Did we light it? Did we not? But both endings are like, eh.
Yeah.
It's left to speculation.
Yeah, it's whatever you want.
Yeah. However you feel that day. Dark Souls 3, and this is what I was talking about right before we started. I was like, I don't want to get into this, but I like the fact that there are 4 different endings for Dark Souls 3.
Nice.
It's neat.
Okay.
So basically, there's the 2, relink the flame or don't, Then, and then there's like, so that's that first 2 set is basically like Dark Souls 1
Yep.
is relight the flame or don't, whatever. It's relinking it in Dark Souls 3.
Yep.
And then there's another 2 set of endings where you take the flame.
You can take the flame.
You can take the flame. You can be selfish and you keep it for yourself.
Ooh.
Or you take it and to revive keep all your peeps alive, you become the Lord of Hollows.
Ooh. That's neato.
Mm-hmm.
Next time I play through, I'm going to have to get one of those endings.
Yeah. I thought that was neat that was different because I feel like, obviously relink the flame or don't, whatever, just...
Standard
it's
Miyazaki.
Standard Miyazaki amongst Dark Souls. But then you can be selfish.
Yeah.
To take the flame and keep it for yourself or to link it with everybody else and yourself.
That's neat.
Yeah, because the Firekeeper gets pissy with you on those endings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she doesn't like that. So I thought that was super interesting. That's just the basic gist. I understand I could be missing words. I know, if you relink the flame, you can become Lord of Cinder.
Right.
Essentially.
Right. Essentially.
So I thought that was cool.
I know.
That it's you get that. I feel like those selfish endings kind of potentially hint at a Dark Souls 4. It's not going to happen.
No.
But I like that they left that kind of open-ended type in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose then the only way to go about those other 2 endings is to probably interact more with the Firekeeper, because I know there's a way that you can actually marry the Firekeeper.
Yes, you marry Henri or whatever her name is.
Right.
Yeah, you marry her. That's actually the Lord of Hollows ending, I believe.
Oh, is it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, because you can marry her, and then you can, if you're I don't think it matters what your sex is, but if you're a man or a woman, you can actually press her for physical interaction, and then she banishes you to the dungeon of lust.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah, basically, yeah. So they have the 3 endings: the linking of the fire, the age of the dark. Obviously, that's not lighting it. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
Betrayal, which is the first one of the Take the Flame, is first the Unkindled finds the Firekeeper and agrees. This is from Fextra Life, by the way. Agrees to betray his duty. The Unkindled defeats the Soul of Cinder and summons a Firekeeper. The Firekeeper lets the flame fade. The Unkindled then strikes the Firekeeper and takes the flame for him or herself.
Wow.
The Unkindled is called accursed for seeking fire selfishly.
Damn.
And then the other one is taking the fire is the Usurper of Fire. This is the one where you marry her. First, the Unkindled must acquire the maximum number of dark sigils, then must go under a ritual marrying Henri. The Unkindled defeats the Soul of Cinder and relinks the flame. Instead of relinking the flame, the Unkindled, that's you, by the way, Unkindled is you, steals the power of the first flame for himself or herself and becomes the Lord of Hollows.
That's neato.
I thought that ending was super cool.
Yeah.
Just as a... I thought that was neat.
Hell yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So then Bloodborne endings. There are 3 different endings. And I'm going to kind of talk about this between Bloodborne and Sekiro because they all talk about the true ending.
Oh, excuse me. Yes.
So Bloodborne has the dream ending, which basically Gehrman chop your heads off and you wake up and you're like, was that a dream? Did I what just happened? Like, you don't have any memory of anything going on whatsoever.
Yeah, they always talk about dawn when dawn approaches. Well, Gehrman's like, well, I can make dawn approach. Do you give up?
Yeah. And then you
wake
agree
up and...
you agree to him and he chops your head off and then you wake up from a supposed dream.
Alleged dream.
That's the good ending, is what they're saying.
Yep.
The bad ending is you take Gehrman's place. You don't agree with him and all that stuff, and then you get pushed around as an old man, and basically you're taking his place.
Yep.
That's the bad ending.
Yep.
The true ending is that you are reborn in a cute, ugly slug.
Yeah. You basically...
And the doll carries you, and it's adorable.
Yeah,
But that's what they're saying is the true ending.
Right, yeah, you become an ancient one.
Yeah. A baby ancient one.
A baby ancient one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that was ending because then that kind of leads into Sekiro, where they have good, bad, average, and a true ending.
Yes.
So basically, what I have here is there's the Shura ending, which is the bad ending.
That's the bad ending. Yeah.
Any description that you've got? Because he's the one.
Yeah.
He's platinumed this. So
the Shura ending basically is So basically, Sekiro, or Wolf, he has two codes that he abides to, but the first one reigns true over all of them, which is the Iron Code. And the Iron Code is basically Owl, his foster father, but his father figure nonetheless, basically saying, whatever I say goes, no matter what, you obey my word. So you come to a choice when you meet Owl after talking to who he commanded you to protect, Lord Kuro.
Mm-hmm.
And Wolf sees Owl and is like, wait, aren't you dead? And he's like, no, I just staged that. By the way, I totally want that kid's power. Obey me and betray your oath to Kuro. And at that moment in the game, you either obey the Iron Code or you break the Iron Code. To get the Shura ending, you obey the Iron Code.
So you follow Dad.
You follow Dad.
Okay. Half Dad, but yeah.
Right. And at that point, the game basically goes into the final sequence where you kill Emma and you kill Ashin. And then in the next cutscene, the place is on fire. Owl goes and takes the immortal blade, but then you kill Owl and you turn into Shura, which I guess is just like evil whatever.
Okay.
And it hints that you go and kill Kuro for his immortality.
That is bad. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's the immortal severance. They're calling that the average, the blah ending.
Right. So the blah ending is you break the Iron Code, but you don't go into Owl's past and kill True Father Owl. Because True Father Owl, if you kill him, gives you like that fragrant tree branch.
Okay, yeah.
And if you don't get the fragrant one, you just get the dried up one.
Okay.
So you don't actually have all the ingredients. So
you're basically, you follow Dad, but then you do what you need to do for Kuro. Right?
No, you kill Dad. You kill Dad
when
twice.
you break the code?
Yeah. When you break the code, you kill Dad in present time.
If you keep the code, you like Dad. That's the Shura ending.
That's the Shura ending.
Okay, so if you break the code, so now you hate Dad, but then but you don't go to the past, so you don't kill him twice.
Right. You just kill him once. And then you go and you get the dragon tier, you do this and that. You go to that field ending, and then kid gets stabbed, and then
it's basically like the good ending, but not killing Dad twice.
Right.
Okay.
But the ending is that instead of Wolf living, he decapitates himself so that Kuro lives.
Immortal severance, so he severs himself. Okay, so that's the immortal severance ending.
Yes.
Okay. So then the purification ending, I'm assuming that means that, well, because I've got the purification and the return left. I'd like to talk about the return last if I can all help it, and I'm sorry I don't have the endings pulled up.
No, that's fine. I got the endings pulled up.
Okay.
Let me so the return ending.
Purification.
Purification, excuse me.
Yeah.
Purification, pure. Which is the one that I normally do. Okay, so let's see. Wolf.
That's the one where you have the most bosses
Yes.
in the game.
Let's see. So Wolf approaches a wounded Kuro. This is after you kill a Genichiro, and then a Shin comes out of him, and then you kill a Shin in that field.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Wolf approaches a wounded Kuro and gives him both the tears and the aromatic flower before committing seppuku over the child's resting body. By healing Kuro and severing the immortal link between them, Wolf unshackles Kuro from the dragon's heritage. Emma and Kuro later pay their respects to Sekiro in the Silver Grass Field, where he perished. The young lord says, I too will live for every moment, and then I will pass on just as my shinobi did for me.
So basically that's the ending where it cures his blood as well.
Oh, I got the immortal severance wrong.
Oh, wait, okay.
Wolf approaches a seriously injured Kuro and feeds him the dragon's tears. So no aromatic flower whatsoever because
you didn't go
to the dad's past.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So
to then fulfill his request, Wolf stabs Kuro with the immortal blade, killing him.
Oh, so severs him. Severs Kuro from the whole dragon rot thing or whatever.
Oh, right. In the aftermath, Wolf returns to the dilapidated temple at the sculptor's replacement. You become the sculptor, so you become Garnum.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the return ending.
Return ending.
And this is what they all believe is the true ending, which everyone believes, I think, from what I read, is canon.
Yes.
If we're gonna call this shit true, that's the reason why Bloodborne, they're calling the reborn ending, when you're reborn as a baby little great one or ancient one, and they're calling it the true ending, that's telling me that's canon. And so this is canon ending.
Right, and this ending is dumb to acquire because it takes a lot of dialogue with the divine child where you get your immortal blade from, but you interact with her so much by getting rice from her and eating rice.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
I remember this
rice, and then she's like, oh, I'm kind of tired. Then she sleeps for a while, and then you have to wake her up with a peach or a clementine or...
Yeah, some sort of fruit, yeah.
So this ending is you give Kuro the divine dragon tears and the divine child's frozen tears.
Oh, two tears.
You get from her.
Okay.
Wolf picks him up and faces west, proclaiming, we must leave this place, my lord. Taking Kuro to the divine child, Wolf watches as she performs the ceremony, wishing him to be at rest and offering him to hold him in her heart. She absorbs the dragon's power and peacefully ends his life. Kuro dies.
Okay. But Kuro dies in the immortal severance as well.
Yes. Shortly thereafter, the divine child says her farewells to the spirits of her siblings before greeting Wolf and announcing, let us depart west to the birthplace of the divine dragon. So, Kuro basically gets absorbed into the divine dragon,
divine child. Yeah.
Which I presume rids Wolf of his immortality. But he basically then goes and protects her and goes west.
Yeah. And so if they're saying that's the true ending, then we're going to a different land and or whatever.
If
there's going to be ever a Sekiro 2, like if there was going to be any hint at that.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting because they had true, they labeled these as true online. Like everywhere I was going, it's true, like good, bad, canon ending, whatever they're calling it. It seemed interesting that, but most of the time they were always saying true, so I'm like, that must mean canon, if that's the case.
Yeah, that makes sense that the blah ending is that you become the sculptor.
Yeah. Just keep going through the cycle, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. Then Elden Ring. There's 6 endings to this damn game.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of go off of this. There is the Age of Fracture, which is where you fix the ring. Then you become Elden Lord.
Good times.
Then there's Age of Duskborn, which you get through the Mending Rune of Death. That's the FSoS quest line and shit like that. And you basically return. You're Elden Lord, but now it's the Age of Dusk and shit like that. So whatever. And then there's the Age of Order, and that's the Mending Room of Perfect Order. That's what you get when you follow Brother Corin and Goldmask's quest line. He's an arcane dealer.
Yeah.
So you get that ending when you do that one. Then there's the Blessing of Despair. That is actually what's his name? I don't know. He's the one, the Seedbed Curse. He's the ugly dude.
Oh, yeah. I forget his name.
If we're gonna do this, I gotta say his name. Goodness gracious. Oh yeah, that's right. He's in here. Yeah, Dung Eater.
Oh, yeah,
that is the ending that you get like through following Dung Eaters. Basically, you just have to give him a shit ton of Seedbed Curse, and then eventually he'll give you the Mending Room of the Fell Curse, and that's how you get the Blessing of Despair. Just whatever. It is actually still an Elden Lord ending, but it's just
different.
It's just different.
Okay.
Then they go, this is a different ending. So this is the reason why when you play the PS4 or any rendition, any of the achievements, there's 3. Because they don't give a shit however you want to get to the Elden Lord ending. You have 4 different options for that. They don't give a shit. Just do it.
Just do it.
However you want to do it, whoever you talk to, it doesn't matter. You get it. Most people will probably do Age of Fracture and just mend the ring. That's probably the most common.
Probably.
But then the next one is Lord of Frenzied Flame. Well, guess what? That's chaos ending, essentially.
Yep.
And you talk to a bunch of people. Shabriri is actually one of them, and like you meet him in the very first beginning of the Mountaintop of the Giants, right next to Zamor Ruins. He's just like, "Let chaos take the world!" He's like yelling and shit like that. He's crazy. Obviously, chaos ending.
Yep.
And that's one where you also have to have the 3 fingers hold you, and you get burn marks on you, and it's. If you didn't want that ending or you fucked up, good luck having fun trying to reverse that because you have to take out Melania and do all this bullshit. You know, it's like you got to do all the right things in the right order in order to do it, because if not, guess what? You're stuck in the Frenzied Flame ending.
Wow.
So yeah. And then the last ending, 6th ending, is the Age of Stars. This is Ronnie's ending. If you follow Ronnie's questline, you have that option.
She's pretty cool.
A blue mark on the ground after you defeat the Elden Beast.
Yeah.
Basically what it is Ronnie overthrows Marika and becomes queen of the world. And then she takes the player with her to another land and basically leaves the whole land of Elden Ring. Or the lands between without an Elden Lord. And this is actually believed to be canon. That is actually what they believe to be the canon ending of Elden Ring, is that Ronnie takes over and is queen, and then they leave.
I mean, why not?
She leaves with her Elden Lord.
Yeah.
And goes somewhere else. So that right there, if that's canon ending, we're going somewhere else. Just like Sekiro, going somewhere else. When are we going to get our Elden Ring 2 and Sekiro 2 here, people?
Or at least a better DLC for Sekiro.
There was no DLC for Sekiro.
I thought, like, the Gauntlet thing was the DLC.
Potentially, but they're not viewing that as such. I actually looked it up.
Good. I was right then.
Yes, you were right.
Okay.
So, yes. So, yeah, bringing up DLCs here.
DLCs.
Demon's Souls. None and highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
I mean, the remaster was its best chance, but I'm sure Miyazaki didn't care enough.
Yeah, Miyazaki really wanted to leave that in the dust and didn't want to touch it again, but he remastered it because...
high demand. And also, that was actually really good marketing on Sony.
Yeah.
To just get the launch of the PS5.
Yes, it was spot on. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Then Dark Souls 1 has Artorias of the Abyss. As he hits his hand on his desk. Whatever. That came out in October 23rd on the, October 2012 on the 23rd. Sorry, I'm like, my dates, I can't read them. So yeah, I've got the dates here. We can kind of talk about this like simultaneously. So Demon's Souls was actually released on, almost 13 years ago yesterday.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. So October 6th, 2009, and then the remake came out, November 12th, 2020.
Yes.
So,
yes.
That along with the release of the PS5.
Yep.
So Dark Souls came out on September 22nd, 2011. So that's been 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That came out. and the DLC came out. Sorry, I need my other card. There we go. About 13 months, a year and a month later. For that. And then the remake for Dark Souls 1 came out on May 24th, 2018. So it actually had 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think he was just potentially testing the waters, because he didn't come out with the remake until he finished DS3.
Yes. It was a long time.
Yeah. So then, saying that, Dark Souls 2 came out on March 11th, 2014. And it had 3 DLCs. Crown of the Sunken King that came out on September 22nd, 2014, shortly after. Then Crown of the Old Iron King came out a month later, and Crown of the Ivory King came out another month later.
A lot of kings.
Yeah. And so basically the DLCs came out within 4 to 6 months after the release date of DS2.
It seemed like they had that all planned out.
Yeah, that DS2 was very much planned out for what they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then DS2, Scholar of the First Sin, that's just the game with all the DLCs combined.
Yeah.
Into it came out basically almost a year or so.
Yeah, because
year and a month after the initial release date.
Yeah, they already cash cowed all the DLCs individually. So like, okay, here it is combined. Enjoy.
Yeah, basically. So then Dark Souls 3 was released on April 12th, 2016. It has 2 DLCs, Ashes of Ariandel, which came out 6 months after the game, and then they had the Ring City, which came out almost a year later.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the Fire Fades edition, which is essentially the same thing as the Scholars of the First Sin for Dark Souls 2.
Right.
Fire Fades edition came out a year later, which is just the game with all the DLCs in it.
Yep.
Then Bloodborne. There has not been a remake of Bloodborne. They've just patched it a shit ton of times.
Yep.
That came out on March 24th, 2015. And its DLC, The Old Hunters, came out 8 months later on November 24th, 2015.
Yeah.
So, very concise. That was also very much planned.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then Sekiro. There is no DLC of Sekiro. Sorry. They just didn't do it. They just had a bunch of patches, and potentially the gauntlets were maybe something else. Who knows? Or maybe it's just something when you get into New Game Plus. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that was March 22nd in 2019 that Sekiro was released.
Yeah, I don't know if it came out initially when the game was released with the gauntlets, but in order for you to get all of the gauntlets, you have to complete all the endings.
Mm-hmm.
And based on which ending you complete gives you a different gauntlet. In order for you to get the ultimate gauntlet, which has 17 bosses, you gotta...
So it sounds like it probably just came out with the game, we just didn't realize it.
That's possible.
Yeah. And then, of course, his 7th and most recent game has been Elden Ring. That was released earlier this year on February 25th, 2022.
Yep.
There's no DLC announced. There have been rumors, but nobody has said anything. There's nothing final, all that stuff. And this is kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to talk, about this, because I've been seeing people going like, oh, he just doesn't have any faith in Elden Ring. He's not going to announce it, all that shit, blah, 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 whatever. One, you guys are talking out of your ass. Stop saying shit like that when you don't know. Like, literally just say, I don't know. It's just so much better to just say that instead of acting like a total asshole. Yeah. Let's try to keep positive about these things. So, from what I can gather, and from game sizes, this is the reason why I made this, my little note card here, is the game sizes. Okay, yeah, Demon's Souls was large. It was 66 gigs. Dark Souls 1, 4 gigs. That's pathetic. They could have made that so much bigger.
They could have.
Dark Souls 2, about 7 gigs. Dark Souls 3, 20 gigs. Bloodborne, 30 gigs. Sekiro, 20 gigs. Elden Ring, 45. Now, based on world size, Elden Ring is the largest of all of his games.
Yes.
So, with that being said, it is the largest, not necessarily file size, but it is the largest map game that Miyazaki has created.
Yes.
So stop being pissy that he hasn't announced a DLC yet. He probably is there, and he's probably laughing at everybody who's pissed off. and is impatient.
Yeah.
I get it. Just keep playing the game. Keep having fun. Keep finding, because that's the thing. I've played the game through 3 times. I know people that have played the game 5, 6 times, and every time they're finding something new.
Yeah.
There's something new. There's a new NPC to meet. There's a new NPC to follow the quest line. There's just something new. Because, I mean, in that game, you can also lock yourself out of a lot of things.
Yeah, you can easily.
Yeah. So, thoughts on the Elden Ring DLC. Just DLC, not a second game or anything like that. We can talk about that later with other games.
Okay.
My thoughts is that if he's gonna announce it, he's gonna potentially announce it this November. We're kind of coming up on it. And it's gonna be released in March of next year.
Okay.
Which would be 13 months, a year, 1 year and 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the longest he waited on any DLC. And that was with Dark Souls.
Okay.
So, okay, fine, whatever. But, mind you, Dark Souls was a lot smaller of a game.
Yes.
So, with that being said, I'm kind of predicting anywhere between March to November, the DLC being released. November of next year. So he might that's the thing is, I think he'll announce it potentially in March and or April or whatever game con that's going to be happening that they're going to announce anything. He's going to find a date in one of those, and it's probably going to be released in November. Anywhere between that. Because looking at all the dates that things are released, he doesn't really release anything in January or February, other than, yes, Elden Ring was late February, however.
It was.
He doesn't really do that, and he also doesn't do anything in December. So we have anywhere between the 3rd month to the 11th month. So either something is going to be released or something is going to be announced within that time frame.
Well, if that's the case, in November, there are, to me, 2 likely events that he might do such
this year, November this year. Okay, yeah.
Yep. So there's the TIGA Awards 2020,
okay,
which is being hosted in the United Kingdoms of London.
Okay.
November 10th and November 11th. Or it could possibly take place in DevGam Game Fest, which is an online event from November 23rd to November 25th.
Potentially. I'm saying that's the earliest he's going to announce anything.
Right.
And the thing is, if he's going to announce it then, I feel like we all would have been kind of hearing that, oh, he signed up to go or whatever.
Yeah.
Type shit. So I don't know that it's necessarily going to be that. I'm literally saying March at the earliest that it's going to be released. And it's also probably unlikely that it's going to be then. I'm honestly thinking it's going to be late 2023 that something is going to get announced and or released.
Yeah, some sort of teaser, some sort of snippet. And honestly, and I might be jumping the gun here, I don't know, but I feel as if they do an Elden Ring DLC, it's going to take place in the past. Because that seems to be a very common trend with his DLCs.
Oh, DLC, yes. Sorry,
yes.
DLC.
DLC.
Change mindset. Yeah, I literally switched cards, so my mindset was yeah, done. Okay. But no, yeah, it'd probably take place in the past, some sort of oh my god, could you imagine a boss fight with Melania and Radon? Kill me now.
Well, I mean, Melania, yeah, there's your small Ornstein battle.
Yeah, literally.
Honestly, I could see, kind of like with Dark Souls 1, the DLC with, Artorias in the Abyss.
Yeah.
Artorias wasn't the hero that stopped Manus, it was you.
Yeah.
So who's to say that you also weren't the one to kill What's-His-Nuts and destroy the ring?
Yeah, that we were the one that killed Godwin.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll find out. I mean, there's so many speculations on what could potentially be a DLC for Elden Ring.
Yeah.
I have some speculations, but it's, primarily I feel like we're gonna deal a lot more with America. I want America battle, honestly.
America battle? Okay.
Yeah, I think that not America, but Queen America battle.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that would be sweet because we got to fight Radagon, we got to fight Godfrey, we got to fight Renala.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get Queen America.
Nope.
We just had the stakes of America that, you know, saved us from having to go too far back or whatever, you know, from a boss fight.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that would be interesting to, like, take out Queen America or something. Or potentially Queen America could actually be in Elden Ring 2.
Yes.
Because we're leaving and, you know, if the canon ending is Ranni takes over as queen, well, America's going to be pissed.
Also, where the hell have you been, girl? You come back to your land while we go somewhere else and it's just godless.
Yeah, basically.
Literally.
So, yeah. So now I just kind of have some other topics to kind of discuss, whatever, you know. Now we've kind of got, like, the big chunk of, like, what the games are all about and whatnot, and we've bantered on about that stuff. So, you have anything else to say about what we've already touched upon?
Yeah.
And I do have other topics that, you know, might encompass some of that stuff.
Oh, okay. I want to jump the gun to 5, but no.
Yeah,
we'll begin.
I mean, we can talk about that right now since we're already doing that. So,
yeah, so
do that and make 1 through 4 the last. So.
Yeah, so in my opinion, and I have played and beat all the games except for Demon's Souls.
He's in the process of Demon's Souls.
So I'm glad that they gave Dark Souls the light of day with the DLC. It took them a while, but I think what they did was awesome. Dark Souls 2,
We're not huge fans of Dark Souls 2,
no,
but it's there.
I need to play it again, and anyway,
yeah,
in due time. Dark Souls 3, I love both of the DLCs, and I hope that it just cuts and is ended there, because I don't think there's anything more that they can lay upon it which would better it.
Yeah, honestly, if they did a Dark Souls 4, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, where's our other stuff? That's the other thing, is like, if you're gonna create a Dark Souls 4, where's our Sekiro 2? Because if that's the canon ending, there might be a Sekiro 2, potentially.
The most...
Bloodborne 2, like, what the fuck?
That is the most demanded...
Bloodborne 2.
Is Bloodborne 2.
Yeah.
But Dark Souls 3, no. Leave that exactly as it is. That is a very fine gem.
Yes.
Bloodborne 2, yes, please. The DLC, awesome. I love how they expanded upon that lore, but they didn't beat it to death.
No.
The only thing that they expanded upon was Hamlet.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Then Sekiro.
Potentially. I could see them doing a second game. Not necessarily a DLC. I don't think the game is... I don't want to say not worthy. I just don't think that there's a reason.
Yeah, I think they fed the storyline so... Like, it was stitched together so tightly that there was no room for them to be able to, like, do...
Yeah.
anything, because you already
it's also based on history, so you can't really, like, take too much of a liberty.
Right, and you already have yourself going into the past twice.
Yeah.
So the only real option for Sekiro is making a Sekiro 2, whatever canon ending FromSoft and Miyazaki decides with, probably heading to the west.
Yeah.
Then
I mean, that's what everyone believes to be the true ending, so if they're saying it's true, it has to be canon, in my opinion. Has to be, but you know, obviously Miyazaki's never going to tell until.
Oh yeah, of course.
Until he announces, "Oh yeah, Sekiro 2, by the way."
Yeah, of course.
You know.
And there's actually 2 endings that I can see as being canon, and it's him, you know, going off to the west with the Divine Child.
Yeah.
Or it's him killing Kuro, because that just leaves him literally being a lone wolf. He's free to do anything and everything he wants.
Yeah, that was another thing I read, that they said, like, he could just travel to other lands if he wanted to.
Yeah, I'm sure, like, he just became
bored.
the sculptor for a little bit, but he probably, I would believe that
or a
wolf...
sculptor in another land.
Right, I would believe that wolf internally would not subjugate himself to just mourning and just being depressed for eternity like the sculptor was.
Yeah.
Because he killed the sculptor who became the demon of hatred. He wouldn't want to become that. So he would want to pick up his life somewhere and do something, begin a new adventure.
Yeah.
So those are the two that I can believe.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically... And then Elden Ring. I honestly think there probably will be an Elden Ring too. There's just so much. And like literally if you look at the Extra Life page for Elden Ring, literally, like here, I'll scroll all the way down here.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Lore theories of Elden Ring. And it's all questions.
Yeah.
Everything is a goddamn question. Look at all those questions. That's easily like 3 pages, single spaced.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 pages, single space of questions of what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck. There's so much what the fuck with the game that it's like, we need something more. Either a hugely expansive DLC and or a decent DLC that pertains to Elden Ring, first Elden Ring, and then a second game.
Yeah.
And maybe a third.
You know, now that I think about it, the only game that Miyazaki has done which inundated itself with content was Dark Souls 2. And I think it's because they knew, maybe, that it would have been unsuccessful. Mm-hmm. Because...
Well, the thing is, like, they could have and they should have shared some of that content with Dark Souls 1 because, like I said, like, it was 4 gigs for the game.
Yeah.
Like, they could have totally made Dark Souls 1 a whole lot more expansive than what they did. Instead of making Dark Souls 2 the informational dump.
Right.
And
like
then it's like they finally got it right with Dark Souls 3, but it's like, why couldn't have, they shared a little bit of the load with Dark Souls 1. I understand it already came out, there's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I in a way I feel like Miyazaki wasn't quite sure and didn't know how well his game would be received, and then upon finding out it was really, really well received, it was like, shit, I have to come up with stuff.
I'm sure maybe he came out with 3 DLCs for Dark Souls 2 because he was just trying to test the waters as far as like mechanics and story goes. Mm-hmm. So once he was able to take in that data pool, he then solidified things.
Yeah.
So Dark Souls 3 had the 2, which were awesome. Bloodborne needs one, or at least Bloodborne has one.
DLC, it needs a
which
Bloodborne
was
2.
awesome, but needs a sequel.
Yeah.
Sekiro, I can see why not. Elden Ring demands one. At least one good DLC and then a second game.
And or another 2.
Yeah.
Like Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
Something like that, because Lord God, like if there's like literally this long of many questions.
Where are your no cards for the DLC releases?
DLC releases?
Yeah.
I've got time between DLC and... Here, the time between DLC and DLCs.
Okay, let's see.
It's basically time between the game release and the DLC, so you can kind of see. So, but yeah, if you just kind of want to know.
Yeah, so that's the thing is that when it comes to DS1 and DS2, they took their sweet ass time in order to come out with the Artorias of the Abyss DLC.
But then DS2 was like...
Just DLC dump.
Yeah, literally. Like 4 months. It was like, that's why I wrote 4 to 6 months, because it's 4 months, 5 months, 6 months after.
Yeah.
Like literally all within less than a year, a shit ton of stuff happened with Dark Souls 2. Mm-hmm. It was literally information dump.
Okay, yeah. So they...
And then with Dark Souls 3, it was 6 months than a year. So it was kind of like, oh, here's the game. Enjoy it for this long. Oh, 6 months. Here's a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Oh, a year. Here's a little bit more. That was like so well planned.
Yeah.
For what that is. Yeah, probably everyone was like, yeah, just dump it all on us at once. Yeah, but no. He did that with Dark Souls 2. And that was like, that's probably the reason why everybody hated it. I don't know. Not everybody. But yeah.
Okay. So... yeah, that's really all that I have to say about DLC and second game potential is give Bloodborne a second game, give Elden Ring a second game and a DLC.
Or 2.
Or 2.
Yeah.
And then give Sekiro a second game.
Like, Sekiro's probably on the bottom of the list because it's like, it's good as a standalone right now.
Oh, hell yeah.
I don't think it's as pressing, but... at least based with Bloodborne, like, come on, like, get back to Bloodborne, dude. Like, we've been begging for this. And everyone's like, oh my god, I decided to come out with another game and not a Bloodborne 2. It's like, well, this game is actually kind of cool.
It's super cool.
And also, but I honestly think if he's going to come out with a new game, 1, what the fuck? But 2, where's Bloodborne 2?
Yeah.
You
Also,
know.
the other thing with, and we talked about this off stream while we were talking about the ideas of us collaborating and talking about Miyazaki games, is that the other thing that we have to consider when it comes to Elden Ring DLC or even a second one is the collaboration with Martin.
Yeah. Will he want to do it? And amongst just reading on the internet and everything, I think Martin would want to. He had way too much fun with this.
Yeah.
I think, he was surprised. I don't know why, but I thought they read, like, there was, like, an article shortly after the game came out that, like, people were really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I'm surprised. They like my work in a video game, too. So now he's kind of, like, getting into it. And I thought they said that they showed Martin watching Miyazaki play Elden Ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at one point.
Oh, man, I haven't seen that. I need to find
I don't think
that.
it was a video. I think they just talked about that, Martin watched.
Okay.
And it was just like, my work.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, Like,
that's the interesting thing probably for Martin is that, yeah, he writes books, here's, whatever the hell, the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And sure,
whatever the hell, yeah.
Whatever the hell. And then here's the adaptation of a television series. Cool. That's great. I can understand why they do this, why they do that, but it's just viewing.
Yeah.
And when it comes to video games, it's literally just an interactive movie that you control.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different media for him to
see his work being expressed through.
Yeah.
Essentially. And I think they did a really good job collaborating because even Miyazaki was like, I don't care where you want to start. You want to start in Caelid? Go for you. Go fuck yourself. Literally. And it's like, if you want to do that, like, he doesn't care. Obviously, there is kind of a set order,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it's like, I don't really care what you want to do.
A part of me wonders...
You create the order. You can literally bypass Margit and Godfrey in the very beginning. You don't have to go through Stormvale.
Yeah.
There is actually a way to go around.
That's probably the other twist that Martin had to consider, was that it isn't linear with your characters and things are happening in the background that we don't know that becomes a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
You are literally interacting with the world, manipulating and doing whatever the hell you want. So where and when can these characters or the main storyline be cut or interjected?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure he actually had to really think rather creatively as a writer, traditional writer, to go with, video games.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, there's that, with our potential DLCs and second game potential. Obviously, Bloodborne 2 is high on the list, and then I think after that is Elden Ring DLC or 2, and then potentially an Elden Ring 2, and then a Sekiro 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then other topics. I have just kind of follow however you want to do. I've got game similarity between all the games, the weapons, NPCs, lore, bosses, enemies, whatever you can come up with.
Okay.
I know one probably similarity is going to be the Moonlight Blade.
Oh, yes.
And it's not necessarily between all games, but it is definitely between, like, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and even Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, the one game I don't think it's a part of is Sekiro for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if it's in
Demon Souls.
Demon Souls.
Yeah, I don't know either. Like, we have not officially finished the game, so we'll find out eventually, probably.
Yeah, so Demon Souls, and then, or at least the Moonlight Blade is obviously a staple.
Yeah.
But then also the Dragon Slayer, which is Guts Blade.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
that
true.
one is all throughout.
Yeah.
The majority of his games as well.
Yeah. NPCs, patches.
Patches. Without a doubt, patches.
Patches, like, just straight up right there.
Dark Souls 1 through 3, Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Because he was the spider in the academy.
Yeah, and Elden Ring, he's just patches.
Yep.
I just think it's funny that just patches is just there.
It's just patches.
Yeah.
Somehow such an iconic character.
Yeah.
Patches.
He's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, like, there's the Firekeepers and Dark Souls. It's obviously, they're there because they're lore.
Right.
But yeah, any similar bosses? I know you were saying something about, like, that one boss in Elden Ring that I think you fought. It's part of Ronnie's quest line. It's like towards the end after you do the Lake of Rot, and then you go down and you drop in this casket and flow down the river and you go take out this weird being. Like a amygdala looking being.
Oh, yeah.
Like, kind of looks, because to me it kind of looks like a version of one of the ancient ones or great ones in Bloodborne.
Right. So, I notice at least within Elden Ring.
And also maybe Moonlight Butterfly a little bit.
Yeah, I notice a lot within Elden Ring. Probably from Miyazaki's design and his art team.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of, I believe, references. And one of those references is a lot actually to Bloodborne, specifically the fight with Rom, where you're just in this empty space of water and there's just this weird being in front of you.
But that's where you said that he was using that one mechanic with Rom.
Oh, yes.
The, like, open space or whatever.
It is, oh, shit. Oh.
You have your phone, you have a lifeline.
I do have a lifeline.
Yeah, but I don't think he uses that at all in Elden Ring. Because it's infinite space or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't use that because I told you I hit the wall last time when I was doing Elden Beast. So it's not infinite, it's not going on forever. You know, or like the same texture over and over again. That's basically what he's trying to reference, is like the same texture over and over repeating ad infinitum. And Elden Beast is not that because there's a wall. It looks like it goes on forever, but there is a wall. I ran into it. It hurt because it killed me.
Well, it's not like infinite space as in you can like traverse and go anywhere. It's like, okay, here I am here. Here's these landmarks around me. Is my character's distance from where I am to that landmark actual?
Oh, okay.
Right. That's what I more mean.
Okay, well that's not how you described it before. You were literally describing it as it's using the same texture.
Because in Dark Souls 1, they don't use that. From where you are from that landmark and where and how you have to go there.
Kings?
That is just a large drop down that can still be mapped out.
But not the space down below.
No, probably not.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what you were trying to get at, is like it's something that, you know, you're looking at it like this building looks like it's right in front of your face, but it's actually 5 miles away or whatever. That's what you were kind of describing it as, like, you know, it's texture that is being reused to create distance or no distance, essentially. And so that's what I was like, because you were describing it as like texture being reused, and so I was like, well, then they use it in the Four Kings, then in Dark Souls 1, and they seemed to use it with the Elden Beast in Elden Ring, but then I hit a wall. Because it's like, that's what you were saying, is like it's infinite space to deal with things. Where you're not going to fall off the edge, you're not going to hit a wall or anything like that. And so I was like, well, then that's Rom, and that's the Four Kings.
I wish I could remember the terminology because my phone is not helping me. But so like I must have misspoke, which is fine. Because I do that a lot.
You've described it to me like 2 or 3 times, and you've described it to me as repeating textures.
So
every time.
So like I described in Dark Souls, is, you know, where the map is from that landmark to how you have to get there, the distance can be drawn out as far as how you get there, and it makes sense if you're a stenographer. In Dark Souls 2, they use...
Cartographer.
Cartographer
is somebody in a courtroom.
Right. Yeah. Typist, yeah.
Yeah.
A cartographer. In Dark Souls 2, when you're in whatever the home main base is called, you can look off into the distance and you can see, you know, this tower or that land or this or that. And you go through a tunnel, you might turn a wheel and you might walk through another short tunnel, and then somehow you're there. Which doesn't really make sense as to how you can just walk like 2 miles in order to traverse 50.
Okay.
that is the use of infinite space, which is kind of like adding, layers in Photoshop. In this layer, you have this area, and then you cross a path, and then, oh my god, you're here suddenly.
Okay.
That's
So then probably Dark Souls 2 is the only one that does that, because I'm believing everything else can at least be mapped out.
yeah.
Amongst Dark Souls 1, even Elden Ring. I mean,
Yep.
obviously, it's a fucking map when you press your little pad there, and all of a sudden it's mappable.
And they also prove that with those telescopes that you do, like in the sky, like everything's perfectly visible. Bloodborne, you can draw that out.
Yeah, you can draw that out. It's kind of a maze, but it's it's there. It is a map.
The only time that they don't use actual map space is when you go to the dream and talk to the Dow to level up. Like, they have an actual one that's in the game, but where you level up, that's infinite space, as well as all the Chalice dungeons.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So then what would be Demon Souls then with the Nexus? Because obviously we can't even see the outside world when we're in the Nexus.
I think that's all infinite space.
Between, like, the Nexus,
there's Nexus.
It's like the world in Bloodborne, your home world in Bloodborne.
Your home world, and then the difference is that...
So then the Elden Ring's round table...
Infinite. Except for the one that you actually find. Kind of like Bloodborne.
Yeah, so why is it infinite space when it's actually confined?
It's just how that's just the terminology used.
Okay. So basically, traveling from, like, to the round table and out of the round table, it's, you're using basically to go this side of grace, but then once you get to that land, I mean, that's the thing is, though, the traveling, though, because in Dark Souls 1, once you get the Lord Vessel, you have the ability to travel now.
You can travel, but that doesn't...
That doesn't mean infinite space.
Right.
Though.
Right.
Okay. Or whatever this term is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anybody that uses a homeworld, so then... Yes, so Dark Souls 2 does have a homeworld.
It does.
Technically Dark Souls 1 does, but it's connected to landmass and playable areas.
Yeah.
So, if we're going to think about Firelink or whatever.
Right. Right.
Sorry, I was thinking that there was another place that was like a homeworld in Dark Souls 1, but I don't remember.
Sekiro technically does use infinite space, just because of going to
I like how he just changes games. I was asking a question, he's just like,
oh,
Sekiro.
I'm sorry. What was your question?
I literally just asked, was like, I don't know if there's another homeworld in Dark Souls 1. Like, because there's Firelink, but then... But it's not a home world. It's not in using this infinite space thing. It's connected, but obviously the other one would be connected. I just couldn't remember if there was another place similar, because you can level up at pretty much any bonfire.
Right.
You don't have to go to a person or anything like that.
I would say the other home base is on Deadburg, where Andre is.
Where Andre is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that's kind of home base like, because you can upgrade your weapons with him and whatnot.
Basically.
I don't even think, unless you consider like the home base of the DLC in Dark Souls 1 where Mushroom Elizabeth is.
Yeah.
That's really about it.
Potentially. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I was asking. But yeah, Sekiro uses infinite.
Right.
With
going to the past.
Going to the past?
Yeah, at Harada Estate.
But what about the homeworld?
The homeworld is...
It's connected to a map, but...
Actually, no, that's true. They do, because there's that little shinobi like passageway that connects you from the dilapidated temple where the sculptor is, and then Kuro's room all the way up in the high fucking
so
wherever.
It has to use it.
Yes.
Partially.
Yeah,
certain bits of it does.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just trying to think, like, what games use, like, a homeworld. Obviously, Demon Souls with the Nexus, and Dark Souls 1, just consider Firelink, honestly, to be the main one.
May as well.
With Andre's and Undeadburg in another part.
Dark Souls 2
definitely has one. Dark Souls 3, definitely, it's the whole Firelink shrine and everything. Not the shrine, but just the homeworld. Like, there's a bunch of people everywhere.
Yep.
Bloodborne, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Sekiro, yeah.
Yeah.
Elden Ring, oh fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's just a common theme that Miyazaki has done.
okay. Well, we've been talking for almost an hour and a half. So I guess another topic is just build versatility of each game. We don't have to go into super big detail about it, but just basically Sekiro's the only one that you can't choose a build.
No, the only build that you have is just a utilization of your skills that you want to use. But even then, the basic control is just, blocking accurately and attacking.
Yeah.
And using your shinobi tools. So no, there's not a whole lot of versatility.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd mention that there's between Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, there's 10 each builds that you can choose from. Dark Souls 2 for some reason went down to 8. Whatever reason. Dark Souls 3 went back up to 10. Bloodborne has 9 that you can choose from.
That's cool.
And Elden Ring has 10.
So he's stapled himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like he really likes having builds. It just seemed like Sekiro wasn't one of those that could really be one. And it kind of makes sense, because, it's based on history. We can't really be like, yeah, let's have a pyromancer or a mage or what the fuck, a sorcerer doing this stuff. It'd be kind of weird. And just a few of them that I've noticed is like Knight is a pretty common one, or like Hero or something like that. And amongst Dark Souls, Deprived.
Yes.
He really liked his Deprived, just go the Nakies. Yeah.
I gotta do that.
Yeah, you gotta do your Deprived stuff.
My Naki run.
And I think even Bloodborne did that, like, thing with Waste of Skin or something like that. Like, you're just, like, boring person. Whatever. I just thought that was interesting, just have, like, the list of all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, is there any game that you feel is more versatile, or do you think they're all just pretty equal based on, like, the builds that you can do with it? Because, I feel like, to me, Elden Ring, and I hate to say this, but I feel like Elden Ring is the most versatile because you can change your build in the middle of the game.
Yeah, that's fair. I would say...
the respecking.
Yeah, I would say... can you even respect in... I don't think you can respect in Bloodborne.
I don't think you can respec at all.
Wow.
There is no respecking except for an Elden Ring, and that's the reason why I wanted to bring up that, if you pick the wrong class and you're like, shit, I don't want to be doing this, I want to do this.
Yeah.
As long as you make it to Renala and defeat Renala, and you have some larval tears, you can go through and you can change your build. You can change your build for every boss if you wanted to, if you have that many larval tears.
I guess if that's the case, like, hands down then to Elden Ring. I'm just trying to think, like, can you do so in Dark Souls? I think you can, I just don't remember how.
Yeah.
And if you can, it's certainly not as much as what you can in Elden Ring.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Because, that's the thing. It's like, I have so many larval tears right now in Elden Ring, I can literally do every build class.
Yeah.
If I wanted to.
So, yeah, no. Good job for versatility to Elden Ring. Plus, with all the spells and incantations and this and the, it's not Frenzy. It's a Frenzy?
The Madness.
The Madness, yeah. There's so much that you can do.
Yeah.
And entwine together. So, yeah, hands down to Elden Ring then.
Yeah, I honestly, because I don't know, because you were the one that's played it, so I was like, if he's wanted to respec at all, like, but I feel like the only first time we've ever talked about that was with Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Was to respec your character. When we say that, it's just reallocating levels into different attributes.
Right.
With Renala, like, you can go and say, like, we both usually do strength builds. He does strength. I did a quality build this time, which is health, vitality, endurance, strength, and dex, all like super maxed up as best you can, and then having a quality weapon. And you can literally change your, like, they call them Ashes of War, and when you add that stuff on there, they'll be like, hey, do you want this to be fire? Do you want this to be ice? Do you want it to be the magic or whatever? Heavy, standard, quality? I always choose quality.
I will say that I do applaud both.
There's so much versatility in the game. It's kind of insane that we understand. If you don't understand it, it's a lot to wrap your head around.
I do applaud both Bloodborne and Elden Ring. And I even think eventually Dark Souls 3 for just removing the ability to upgrade your armor. I always found that to be rather useless.
Yeah, doing that in Dark Souls.
Yeah.
one at
Why?
least. Yeah, that
1 and 2, I think, is where you definitely do it. I can't remember if you do it
Yeah.
in 3.
it makes sense to just have like, let's just have a shit ton of armor that, like, oh, I'm a mage class, so this is the type of armor I'd want to have as a mage that helps me be a mage or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I'm quality build, so that's tank class essentially. Being a huge heavy tank with a shit ton of health,
Yeah.
you're gonna want probably some tanky ass armor that can take some hits.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. To Elden Ring.
yeah. And we're getting close to finishing this out. It's just gonna be some quick stuff. So do you have any favorites of the bosses, enemies, NPCs? We can do each game if you want, but if you just have a
Ooh.
5 favorite or something like that, whatever you want to pick.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
If I have to do 5 favorite of all of them?
No, not all, but all together.
Oh, all together.
Yeah. Like 5 favorite, or pick 1 from each game, whatever. I mean, Demon Souls may have to be kind of left out because neither of us have done it.
Right.
He's not completed it, so we don't really know.
Well, my favorite boss of DS1 is a tie. Oh no, because we want DLC too. Right.
Yeah.
Is actually probably going to be Artorias.
Yeah.
I like Artorias. You. We'll go back and forth.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here. Just trying to go through all the bosses. I honestly think probably Artorias is my favorite as well.
Yeah.
Artorias and Sif combined because they're combined lore. So.
Yeah. DS2, my favorite boss is probably in the DLC, the Iron King.
Okay. Mine's Ava, because I have a white tiger that's named after Ava in Dark Souls 2. So yeah.
DS3.
That's also a DLC too. The Ava's wasn't a DLC, so.
Yeah. DS3, definitely Gale.
Gale.
So
Yeah.
I love fighting Slave Knight Gale. And that's a hard tie just because the Nameless King is super cool.
I was going to say Nameless King was going to be mine, and or oh, there was somebody else.
Lady Freya. Or Sister Freya.
Yeah, Sister Freda. Yeah.
Yeah, those 3 bosses are just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Love them.
Probably Sister Freda, actually, just because she's like a 3-part boss. It's like tough.
Oh my god.
So,
I can't wait to watch you rage out on her.
Mm-hmm. Just watch me walk away. So then next in lineup would be Bloodborne. I already know mine. And you know it too.
Bloodborne.
Potentially.
Oh, yeah. Maria.
Lady Maria.
Yeah. Maria's great. Yeah, Maria or Koss are my favorite.
I just Lady Maria for me. Yeah.
Sekiro.
Potentially Lugarius, he's also in the DLC.
No,
that's
you mean Ludwig?
Ludwig, yeah.
Ludwig?
Yeah, I think him. Also, because he's the one that uses a big Moonland blade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He's fun too.
Lugarius is in there too, but yeah. Not in the DLC, but yeah.
Yeah.
He's in the game. But I just names.
Yeah.
You know.
There's a lot. Sekiro.
I don't. Or probably have to say any fight with Dad.
Yeah, I like the inners. So I appreciate fighting Owl the most, in all honesty. Genichiro's good and fine, but for some reason, fighting Owl is more satisfying.
Yeah.
To me.
I'm gonna say the dads.
Yeah, the dads.
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
So then Elden Ring.
Melania.
He's a fucking masochist over here. He loves fighting the one boss you don't need to actually fight in the game.
No,
he loves fighting Melania. He's been beating Melania for me in my games because I fucking hate her. But I'm trying to think who would be my favorite because I haven't really thought about this. I should have today, but you know.
You had all day.
I had all day, and I've been playing the game a bunch.
I think we've said this.
I know. I forgot. Ooh. Malekith.
Oh, yeah.
Malekith is my favorite. He's the one that starts out as Beast Clergyman, which we all believe to be Grunk. Mm-hmm. And then he transforms into Malekith, and I believe there is lore behind Malekith that I think he was like, he was somebody's partner, but like knight partner or whatever, like protector.
Oh, gotcha.
I can't remember. Gotcha. I'd have to. Well, we're here.
Since we're here, and while you're looking that up, I will say that the reason why I appreciate Milenia's fight is that the entire time, because she can, like, you know, tag team me out of the corner and I will aid her in her game. And the first time that she came across Milenia, like, you were just fed up, couldn't do it, didn't want to do it. Like, you do it if you can, whatever.
Yeah.
And the first night that I attempted her, I was going at her for like 2.5 hours straight.
Yeah.
But not once was I actually frustrated. It was just entertaining to me, and it was just me trying to learn how to beat this woman.
Yeah.
And then the very next day I got her like
you got her like the second try or whatever, and then I handed it to him my second game and he beat her first try.
Yeah.
So he still has to do it in my third game here. Yeah. So.
And I beat her first try through my own playthrough.
Yeah.
But yeah, Milenia's great.
Yeah, I believe he was just. Yeah, he was Marika's. So like, you know how Ronnie has Blide?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, okay.
Ronnie has Blide. He's the protector or whatever.
Yep.
Malekith was basically that from Marika.
That's cool.
So that's what I do.
That's cool.
He's such a cool boss.
Yeah.
I've kind of fucked up.
His cutscene is awesome.
Oh my god, I know. I fucked him up the first time because I got so excited. I watched the cutscene and I got excited and I fucked up. So that I kind of was laughing at myself and I got in there and then my mimic tier. So we have ashes we can summon in Elden Ring that are, you know, that can help you.
Yeah, your assistants.
Basically. And I have one that's called a mimic tear, which is basically a repeat of me. It's another one of me.
Yeah.
And this last playthrough, yeah, I had to do him twice, but whatever. And so that time I was like, okay, skip the cutscene because I obviously just enjoyed it too much. I just fucking just blew my head out and didn't even pay attention. And so I went in the second time. We tanked him so hard. I mean, he was like, get up, tank, get up, tank, get up, tank. I just I was laughing as we were doing this to him, and I'm like, oh, he's such a favorite boss fight of mine, but like,
he's cool. He's super cool.
He does some really fucked up shit to you, but
yeah, he does.
If you can fight it, you got it.
Yeah.
Do you have a least favorite of anything, like any boss, enemy, NPC, weapon, even like any least favorite? I already know my least favorite boss in Elden Ring is Horlu.
Sure.
I just don't like him.
Least favorite. I do not enjoy the Moonlight Butterfly fight.
Why? It's so easy.
It's easy, but it's tedious and annoying.
Yeah.
Unless you're an archer, you're a spellcaster, but as far as our builds go, tedious and annoying.
That's true. When he says our builds, we're strength builds, so we have a big ass fucking weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot in Dark Souls 2 that I don't like, but one of them that comes to mind is that frog-like creature, where the only time that you can actually deal damage onto him is when he, like, opens up his skin and he comes out.
I don't even remember that, and that sounds gross.
Yeah. So him, I dislike, as well as that female scorpion fight. That was whatever. Dark Souls 3. I don't like the Crystal Sage.
Oh, yeah. That's the one that he actually got angry at me, and I don't know if it was caught on stream. He actually told me to shut up.
It was off stream.
It was off stream. He told me to shut up.
Yeah.
And we kind of have a rule that we're not allowed to say shit like that to each other because we both find it insulting. Just be like, hey, be quiet, please. Like, it's just to try to be a little bit nicer about it. Just be like, can you please be quiet, or can you please leave the room? I'm getting very much frustrated and I need to focus.
Or just give me a moment.
Yeah, but it was like kind of like a
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry. You didn't know that you were struggling and you weren't acting like. Because that's the thing is he plays these games like he's not even frustrated by any of it, and so I didn't know at the time that you were getting frustrated because you weren't saying it. But then all of a sudden it was a harsh word.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so sorry, and then I just kind of felt like crap because I was like, what the fuck.
Yeah, no.
So it's like, I know the Crystal Sage. That's the reason why now when he plays it, I'm like,
Yeah.
I shut up because it was, a little bit of PTSD on my part.
Yeah,
Not really. It's not that bad.
It's
but
a
yeah.
bad memory.
It's
It's
not
a
a good
bad
memory,
memory.
but I know that he needs to focus on it because it is a very frustrating boss fight, and I look forward to me throwing my controller into a pillow again with that one.
There's that one that I just dislike.
Yeah.
But the other one that is frustrating is in the Inner Ring DLC of DS3.
Okay.
Is where you drop down into like those two demons that you have to fight, and then they combine into one. The Prince of Demons or the Demon Prince.
Oh, those two boys.
Those two boys.
Yeah, yeah, that one.
Because they're both tough and it's a long fight. I would rather take care of the DLC dragon twice.
Yeah, that's very true.
Um.
Okay, so you did Dark Souls 3, so Bloodborne? Anybody you don't like?
Either that skeletal dog one, the electric one that you fight when you're in that prison. It's like the dark whatever.
I don't know. There's so many things he's like sitting here trying to describe to me. I'm like, I don't know. If it's not a main boss, I don't know.
It's not required.
No.
Let's see. Bloodborne Belsis. And it has a weird name too. Let's see. No, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, I also didn't like Celestial Emissary, but that's fine.
Like alien looking one.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's like it has like all the small dudes.
Little small dudes, and then there's like the one that you have to be attacking.
Yeah. Oh, Dark Beast Parl.
Oh.
That one seems kind of useless.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was like, you have to run around. Don't you have to kill, like, the ladies ringing a bell?
No, that's the one Unborn.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I take all that back. You know who I dislike the most? Mikolosh.
Yeah. Yeah, running around.
Yeah, that one I dislike the most.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm not going to have a dislike, guys, just because I've not played the game. I feel like I will come up with a dislike when I have played the game more fully.
Yeah, that's fair.
Then Sekiro, any dislikes? It can be even game mechanics, even, but at this point, I mean, we're just enjoying the games, and we don't really. The game mechanic, you can't change it. That's what it is. So I feel like
the one that frustrates me the most is the True Monk.
Yeah, that's the one that probably it frustrates you. I don't really think you dislike anything in the game.
No, I don't dislike things in the game, other than the terror. Status.
Yeah, you hate the terror status.
Terror status is dumb, but I dislike just the amount of poise, infinite poise it seems that True Monk has.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I do not enjoy, and I'm sure most people do either, is the Divine Dragon fight, because it's so sequenced.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah.
So Elden Ring. I already said my least favorite was Horaloo.
Yeah.
Which and potentially Radon as well. Horaloo is this one right before Radagon and Elden Beast. He's the one who has like the ghost-like tiger around his shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They could have done so much more with him.
They could have done so much more with him, and I dislike him because now that I'm in my third playthrough, he's doing things to me that he never did before.
Yeah.
And I'm not liking it because he literally, like, it took me way too long on the last one to get him just because he kept picking me up and throwing me on the ground, and he would not even let me get up to heal. Like, I was lying on the ground and he picked me up and threw me down. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I just didn't like that. Either that's a game mechanic or some sort of bug or something like that. I just didn't like it. And then Radon, I just hate because he's like a fat ass guy on a small little horse.
That's poor scrawny nag.
Yeah.
I didn't mind him so much. I thought the whole setup was kind of weird, but
yeah, like
whatever.
having to travel across the water and then you can summon in a bunch of people while he's sitting there tossing arrows at you.
Yeah. I would say that a lot of the mini bosses I think shouldn't exist. Like that stupid cat dog statue boss.
Yeah, the no, not Erdtree avatars, but yeah, they're the Burial Watchdogs.
Yeah, I don't like those. Those are dumb enemy types. Those death birds are annoying as fuck.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Is like if there's a mechanic in the game or something like that I don't like, it's actually frost. Originally I was saying it was rot. Now I'm like, no, I can actually kind of deal with rot a little bit.
Yeah.
Frost is so stupid. Yeah, you've got like the boluses that you can take to help deal with it, but it builds up so quickly and can literally kill you instantly.
Yeah. Main boss is the only main boss that I would probably say I dislike, even though he's easy as fuck, is the all-knowing dude in the round table.
Just because he's easy.
Yeah, it's like, whatever.
I don't dislike him because he's easy. It's just, it's a nice pace, after you've worked really hard in crumbling Azula.
Sure.
And like, you defeated Malekith. For some people, Malekith might be hard. It really kind of wasn't for me, but that's, I don't know, maybe because I was enjoying it so much.
Sure.
But, yeah, and then you get there and it's like, okay, now what? Then, so your next boss is Gideon Ofnir, or Gideon Ofnir, and he is like, just sitting there talking at you and you just wail on him. And
I found it to be
he does do things to you if you do let him, but he seems kind of pointless. It's like literally, I think I beat him my very first playthrough. I beat him in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It was so dumb.
It's what's the point?
Yeah.
So
he's just an NPC that was part of the round table, and he was the one kind of feeding you a little bit of lore and stuff like that, and so they needed him in there. I was like, honestly, you could have just left him out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever.
Although I suppose that also kind of ties in with a little bit of theming of Miyazaki. Because Garanom did the same thing. You kill him.
Yeah.
The sculptor does the same thing. You kill him because he becomes the demon of hatred.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Theming, I guess.
Potentially.
But yeah, all the other ones are fine. It's just him is annoying.
Yeah. So then, last thing we're going to do is rank each game. It's your personal choice.
Ooh, okay. Except we can't do Demon's Souls just yet.
We really can't put it in there. I mean, we can give it a justified position, I think, but I'm going to at least try to give a justified position.
All right. So going from least to most.
Of your favorite, that's everything included, bosses, all that stuff, whatever, however you want. What is your
overall gaming experience?
Yeah, I'd say go from the least to the most so that we end on a happy note.
Okay. So I would say then Dark Souls 2. Then, I don't know where Demon's Souls lies, but it'll be towards the bottom. But definitely Dark Souls 2. Then I would say either Demon's Souls or Dark Souls 1.
Okay.
And then the other one following thereafter. Then I would say Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne.
We have DS1 and Elden Ring left.
No, I already did DS1.
Oh, yeah, so you only have...
So, I'm sorry, let me reorder. Dark Souls 2.
You said Demon Souls or DS1.
Yeah. Elden Ring.
Elden Ring, okay. Wow.
Bloodborne. I'm sorry, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, then Sekiro.
Okay.
So I've enjoyed the shit out of Sekiro.
Yes.
So that's what I would say for my order.
My order is going to be primarily based on viewership. I've only played portions of a couple games and entirely one. So it's going to be Dark Souls 2 at the bottom. Then probably Sekiro. Because it's just so different looking, and I'm just not looking forward to having to learn something different.
Yeah.
Then I would probably have to, let's see. What I've done the 2. Okay, so yeah. I'm missing
Dark Souls 2, Sekiro.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm missing one in my head. Okay, yeah. So I'm still... Oh, never mind. Yeah, so then probably Demon Souls.
Okay.
And it's Demon Souls is that low. It's not... Like, I'm not trying to be unfair to it or anything. It's just we haven't played much of it. He hasn't played much of it. I've played only a little bit of it myself, even. So that's the only fair spot right now, honestly. And I know that doesn't sound fair because we haven't completed it, but that's where it is.
Yeah.
The fact that I've seen just a little bit of it and it still ranks over those two to me says something for myself, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then, yeah, that's Demon Souls, and basically I would have to say Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, Elden Ring.
There we go. That's fair. That's fair.
So,
cool. Any final notes, final remarks?
That's really all I got. I just figured, ending on like how we rank it based after talking so much about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, that's the podcast then.
Yeah.
Check out my guest, Queen Shelby, also known as Shelby. She has places and platforms and this and that. You can check her out. I recommend you do. Where are they at?
So I'm just Queen ShelBeast, at least amongst platforms. Those platforms are Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. All Queen ShelBeast. That's with one L in the ShelBeast. Just find me on those platforms. I do stuff primarily mostly on Twitch. As of right now, I'm trying to get myself back out into the world. Doing some mixology stuff. I know that seems weird that I have this Miyazaki knowledge and yet I do mixology, but whatever.
Everyone has to have a hobby.
Yeah. Ow! He literally scratched my back trying to get up there. Sorry,
Cat.
everyone. Cat just decided to jump on my back. Ugh, okay.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the platforms that I can be found on.
She also has a Discord.
Yeah, I also have a Discord, which I don't remember. It's just the Royal Beasts or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I forget your number.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I'm Queen Shelby some number.
Yep. Let's see, and then you obviously, you know me. This is the Frankly Speaking on Fridays podcast, which is found on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, which you won't find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts just because the subscription that I use in order to upload the podcast simultaneously to those things ran out, and I need to pay for it again, which I can't right now. So, that will happen next week, is when those will be updated. Which is why I knew that the anniversary of a year came around.
Nice.
Yeah. And then obviously, email me, FSoS Podcast@gmail.com for inquiries and topics. Just say hello. And, yeah, my Twitch platform is Fapism Place, amongst other things. So, thank you to my guests for joining me. I hope you had fun.
Yeah.
And, as I always say, keep practicing, no matter what it is, as long as it doesn't hurt you or anyone else. What's up?
Stream after?
Yeah, we'll be doing a stream after this.
Yeah.
A little bit of a break for us to eat, feed the cats, and we'll be playing a fun game.
Whoa.
Yeah. But keep practicing, no matter what it is, so long as it doesn't hurt you or anyone else. I say practice remembering who you are and what you like. As Shelby said earlier on the podcast, it's really easy to lose track of who you are, what you want, especially during times of just feeling down or depressed. So do what makes you happy in the meantime while you're trying to just sift through all that.
I realize that sleeping might make you happy, but try not to. I know sometimes it's a little difficult, and sometimes that sleep is needed. But when you do get up, try to do the things that you like to do.
Yeah. So, with that said, that has been the podcast. Thank you to my guest. Thank you for listening. Tune in next week. I do have topics that I wish to discuss. So it will actually be planned. Ooh. So, thank you for listening. Good night. Sleep well. Sweet dreams. And until next time, au revoir. Oh, Jesus. Templeton. Right. All right. Thank you for listening, and good night, everyone. See you next time.